Have you ever heard whispers about a Danny Phantom episode that vanished almost immediately after airing? The one episode Nickelodeon doesn't want you to remember. It aired once, then disappeared into the shadows. But what if this Danny Phantom episode was hidden because it revealed too much? What if the truth about our favorite ghost boy was darker than anyone was ready to accept? Stay with me, because what I'm about to tell you might change everything you thought you knew about this beloved cartoon. The episode in question goes by the official title, The Ultimate Enemy, though some die-hard fans refer to it as The Forgotten File. And trust me, there's a reason this particular story sends chills down the spines of those who remember seeing it. Unlike the typically light-hearted adventures we expect from Danny Phantom, this episode took a shockingly dark turn. It dared to show us a future where Danny, our hero, our protagonist, becomes the very thing he swore to fight against, a villain. And not just any villain, but perhaps the most terrifying ghost to ever exist. But wait, I hear you saying, I remember that episode. It wasn't hidden. Well, that's what makes this story so fascinating. The version you remember? It's the sanitized one, the safe one, the one that executives decided wouldn't traumatize their young audience. The original cut was something else entirely, something that pushed boundaries no children's show had dared push before. It showed us a Danny Phantom who had completely lost his humanity, a Danny who had embraced his ghost half at the expense of everything else. What made this episode so controversial that it needed to be altered and then practically erased from existence? For starters, it didn't shy away from death. The original storyboards reportedly showed the explicit deaths of Danny's friends and family in the nasty burger explosion. Not implied, not off-screen, but shown in painful detail, with Danny's anguished screams providing a soundtrack to the tragedy. But even more disturbing was the psychological breakdown that followed. The episode delved deep into Danny's fractured psyche, showing how grief and guilt can transform even the purest heart into something unrecognizable. We watched as Danny begged Vlad to remove his ghost half, only for that separated entity to rip out Vlad's ghost half and merge with it, creating a being of pure malevolence. Here's where it gets really interesting. Many fans and even some insiders have suggested that this wasn't meant to be just a what-if scenario. The original concept allegedly positioned this dark future as the actual canon endpoint of Danny's story, a tragic hero's journey that ends in villainy. It was only after concerned test audiences and network executives intervened that it was reframed as an alternate timeline that Danny could prevent. Think about that for a second. The creators of Danny Phantom intended for their hero to become the ultimate villain. How's that for a plot twist? So why go to such lengths to hide the true nature of this episode? Why alter it, downplay it, and then let it fade into obscurity? The answer is simpler than you might think. This episode fundamentally undermined everything Nickelodeon wanted Danny Phantom to be. Children's programming, especially in the early 2000s, followed certain unspoken rules. Heroes stay heroes, villains stay villains. The good guys always win, and more importantly, they always remain good. An episode suggesting that trauma and loss could corrupt even the most well-intentioned hero. That sent the wrong message. As one producer allegedly said in a private meeting, he was never supposed to go that far. We created Danny to inspire kids, not terrify them. There were also concerns about the psychological impact on younger viewers. Showing a beloved character become evil is one thing. Suggesting that this transformation came from grief and mental breakdown hits too close to home for many. It acknowledges a darkness in the human experience that most children's shows carefully avoid. And perhaps most damning of all, it performed poorly with test audiences. Parents were concerned, children were confused, and the network executives were horrified. Something had to be done, and quickly. But as with any good conspiracy, there's evidence if you know where to look. Deleted storyboards have surfaced online over the years, showing scenes far more graphic than what made it to air. In one particularly disturbing sequence, we see Dark Danny looking at a photograph of his human family and friends, before burning it while wearing what can only be described as a smile of satisfaction. Then there are the interviews. While the creators have never explicitly confirmed the hidden episode theory, they've dropped enough hints to keep fans speculating. In a 2012 convention appearance, when asked about the episode, Butch Hartman reportedly said, "There were a lot of ideas on the table for that one. Some of them, well, let's just say they wouldn't have made it past the censors in a million years." Perhaps most telling is how the episode has been treated in reruns and streaming services. In several countries, the ultimate enemy is mysteriously absent from the rotation. When it does appear, certain scenes are subtly altered, colors brightened, dialogue changed, sequences shortened. It's as if someone is systematically trying to soften its impact, to make us forget what it was really trying to say. And what about the merchandise? Notice how there's barely any official Dark Danny products. For a show that merchandised everything from the box ghost to the lunch lady, the absence of what should be one of its most marketable villains speaks volumes. So, what are we left with? A children's show that dared to suggest something truly subversive. That heroes can fall, that good can become evil, that the line between savior and destroyer is thinner than we'd like to admit. Was the ultimate enemy hidden because it was too dark, or because it was too honest? Was Danny Phantom's transformation into Dark Danny a warning about the corrupting influence of power, or a more nuanced commentary on how trauma changes us? If Danny Phantom really became evil, what were they trying to tell us? Perhaps the most disturbing thought is this. What if the real message wasn't about Danny at all? What if it was about us? About how fragile our own moral compasses might be when faced with overwhelming loss and pain? That's not the kind of question most cartoons ask. And maybe that's exactly why this episode had to disappear. But some truths can't stay hidden forever.